Hello, you're watching Razzmatazz with Rashi, and today we have with us Roma Gupta Sinha. She's an author, a blogger. She has won several prestigious awards, and today she's here with her seventh book. That's really interesting and incredible journey, and we'll come to know a lot more about Roma and her interesting things that she does. But before moving forward, I'd like to tell the audience that we will end this episode with a question. And if you give the correct answer, then you will stand a chance to win the mega prizes at the end of the season. You'll also get the answer in this episode itself. So watch it carefully and definitely participate. Also, this is only for the subscribers, so don't forget to subscribe before you participate. Welcome, Roma. How are you? So good to have you back on
Hi,
the show.
Rashi. Hi, Rashi. It's a pleasure to be back here again. I
Yes.
think for the
Yeah,
fourth
I think,
season.
yeah, you like she's coming up with a book every year.
And
She's
you
always
and
on my list.
probably to be a part of your seasons also, na? I'm
Correct.
writing so that I can be on your big show. Okay. Jokes apart, pleasure is equally mine, Rashi. It's such a
Yeah,
pleasure talking to you every year about my book as well as so many wonderful books, that
yes,
come in the carnival. Thank you
correct.
for having me over again and again.
So I already know a lot more things about Roma, but I would request you to tell our audience something about you and all the wonderful things that you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Roma, and in a nutshell, I'll say that I'm a storyteller. I'm basically the voice of the quintessential Indian woman. Okay, their struggles, their inspirational journeys, their wins, their losses. I basically bring forth their stories on my blog or through my books and through different publications. As well as I try to help them to the best of my ability through my academy. So my entire work revolves around women empowerment now. By education, I'm an automobile engineer. I was in a corporate world for about 10 to 12 years. Then when my child was 2, I switched gears and I embraced my love for, writing and, imparting communication skills or life coaching to people. And that is where I am today. Basically around it, very happy and very satisfied.
Yes. And we are happy to have you and the fantastic things that you do. So, like 7 books in 7 years. Tell us about your books. That's an incredible journey.
7 books in 7 years. Yeah, feels so good to hear. Basically, again, like I introduced myself, I write around the stories which need to be told, and so that's how I began. My first uh, about 20 Indian women known as Dare to Defy the Destiny. There is it's inspirational journeys, not only about the oppression of the uneducated class, but also of some educated, about patriarchy, about sportswomen. So that was my first. Very close to my heart because I actually know all those 26 people who were there in that book and how they are doing today. So they are a part
Yes.
of my life. My second book was a college romance. Again, somewhat related to women empowerment in the sense that the protagonist there was a girl child with a traumatic past. So in when she became an adult, she was not able to accept or embrace true love. So it's a story that delves in that world. My third book was an autobiographical account because I wanted to tell the world about what happens when a girl child is born in a village and not very accepted, and what is the journey that traditionally happens in India and how she
Yeah.
can actually do something if she wishes. And
Mm.
then my fourth book was around my academy, where I met a lot of women who actually came to seek help from me. But then when I met them, I got to learn so many things from them. And that's
Yeah.
where the fourth book stemmed, which was Empowered Women, Empower Women. Because it's you
Mm.
and me. who can actually, empower each other in many ways which we don't know.
Yes,
So it is
definitely.
about that. My fifth book was very, very special. I wrote it in the COVID lockdown when I
Yeah.
was stranded in another state. It is known as Letters to My Future Grandchildren about the pandemic. Very interesting. They may find it funny, but it was a pleasure writing them because it has like a first-hand account of everything that happened to us during COVID.
Mm.
My sixth book last year was venturing into a new genre, which is romantic thriller. Rashi knows
Yeah.
all about it, so she's smiling. This book was in the commercial segment, bought me the kind of reviews I really wanted. But this year, my seventh book is very, very special in the sense,
Yes.
Rashi, that it is not written currently. It
Mm-hmm.
spans over like 20, 30 years. So,
Okay.
so when I was like 4, 5 years old, I
Mm-hmm.
spent my childhood in my maternal grandparents' home and not with my
Mm-hmm.
parents. So
Yeah.
my way of venting my emotions was poetry. And it's a
Mm.
very strong form when you really, want to communicate your emotions. They come
Yeah.
out raw into poetry. So it actually has, this book is actually not, it's a compilation of my emotions over like 3 decades. So
Oh,
that is
nice.
why it is very special. I have not
Yeah.
done it immediately. It's like it
Mm.
has feelings for my mom.
Uh,
It has basically 5 sections. One section says the call of the woman in me. It is my heart
okay.
which gets excruciating pain when she sees somebody, some other woman, going through something
Yeah.
which she doesn't deserve. There's another segment which is very soft, which is known as Ma and Motherhood. So it's about my
Mm.
ma and about my child.
Yeah.
So both the emotions, there
Yes.
are a lot of poetries. Then there's a segment on true love. Then
Mm.
there's a segment on my best teacher called life.
Okay.
Okay, so there are things like that. So there are
Yeah.
myriad shades. So I cannot, term it like, okay, this is a work which I had done now.
Yeah.
It is over the
Over
years.
the
It
years.
yeah. So in that sense, it's very special. Poetry has been, my venting space
Mm.
for whatever time I've been writing. Even till today, if I
Yes.
feel bad about something, I will not, ping somebody or talk to them about it. I will
Yeah.
just write it quietly,
Okay.
weave them into words.
Yeah.
So that is poetry, I think, for all of us. So
Correct.
that in that sense, this book, which is called Soft Strings of My Heart, which it
Mm.
genuinely is, right?
Yeah.
Very, very special for me.
And it also has a very beautiful book cover.
Yours truly has designed it.
Nice.
So I have this special attraction towards the covers I put for my
Yeah.
books. Okay, so I come up with like 20, 30 covers, and
Yeah.
all of you, all my
It's so
friends,
difficult to
go
choose.
crazy
Yeah.
with
I
it.
can understand that.
Please pick, please pick, please.
So, like, you have written
So
in like the various topics and like fiction, poetry, so different things. So, like, when do you
okay.
write? Do you have a routine that you follow, or is a particular time that you dedicate for your writing? How is it?
I have a very because you have and
Mm.
until there are two things. One is a burning desire to do
Yeah.
something, and second is a very strong discipline about it. So
Mm.
I write at 4 a.m. every morning.
Okay. That's the secret.
The,
With why how
so
she has
there's
come up with the seventh book.
so it's like see, those are time my characters are most alive in my brain because
Okay.
that's the time I get up.
Nice.
Okay, so that, and it's peace everywhere. It's birds chirping. It's fresh air.
Yeah.
And actually I can write anywhere. I can write in a
Mhm.
coffee house, in a restroom, in a garden. I can
Yeah.
write anywhere, but mostly the first half is very productive for me.
Mm.
So the earliest I write, the better it is. Sometimes I
Okay.
get up at 2 a.m. because I get up something, a very good twist. So I
And I
just
have to write that. Yeah.
I have to write it and then go back to sleep.
Oh,
So,
good.
so the thing is, ki, I write whether for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, one
Yeah.
hour, 2 hours, but I ensure that I'm writing.
Writing.
In that way, my characters don't die.
Mm-hmm.
If I sleep over them
Yeah.
or for a week, I forget what was happening, what my character was thinking at that point of time.
Yes. It happens.
So I got to live
You
those
just
characters.
not in the flow of writing, and then you take a break, and then you just can't get back to that.
Exactly. So
Mm.
once you finish your first draft, then you can sleep over it. Then that's
Yeah.
a very good idea. Yeah. But then once you're writing, it has to be strict discipline. And even if
Mm.
you have fever, try to write some words. It kind of, once it keeps you engaged, your mind is
Yeah,
diverted, right? And
definitely.
please choose your most creative time of the day. Needn't be
Mm.
4 a.m. When your creative juices are
Yeah,
like, flowing at their best, just steal that slot for yourself. That matters
yes.
a lot. That has worked for me. If you ask me that if I suddenly after like talking to you, just go and write, I won't do that. I won't be able to
Mm.
do that. I
Yeah.
will be able to do the commercial articles, which are my bread and butter, but I won't be able
Mm.
to do the creative thing,
Yes.
right? Like weaving a story, or where to give it a
Writing
bent, or where
something.
to right.
Mm. Okay. So, you
Try
must have
morning
learned a lot
hours.
of things, over the years. So, what tips would you like to give to our new writers?
I was just sharing about them only, my
Yeah.
dear. That the first, and what I have learned is, it's been a very gradual evolution, and I
Mm.
really want to share this with everyone, that for you to write a book, it's I won't say that it's an impossible task, but
Yeah.
it is also, something wherein you need to have a very strong belief in your
Mm.
story. So first and foremost, when you're going to write this manuscript, please have all the plots that you have. Please
Mm.
evaluate them, and your criteria actually should be that, as a reader,
Yeah.
what would you like to read?
Mm.
For example, right now I am reading a book called Brain Master. It is chess, uh,
Mm.
chess brain, Vishwanathan Anand's
Okay.
autobiography.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure to read it,
Yeah.
you know. So you should first believe in your story. If you are
Mm. That's
convinced,
true.
then go ahead with it, because writing a book is not an easy process. So first,
Yes. Takes
be
lots of
convinced
efforts.
that, yeah, you have your story, and once you're convinced, then let the world say anything, let the publisher reject it, then be convinced that
Yes.
it is your story and it has to be
Yeah.
told to the world. That's your first point. Second point
Mm.
is, once you're convinced, self discipline is very important. A burning desire to write it is
Yeah.
very important. You cannot let it play a second fiddle. Okay, I came back from office, okay, let me go
Yeah.
for a cup of coffee with my friend and then I'll do it. You need to have a time, you need
Mm.
to have a schedule, you need to have your favorite piece of writing gadget for it. It means a
Yeah.
lot. For example, like when I plot character, I take a
Mm.
big A3 piece of paper.
Okay.
I write the name of the character and I
Link them
make a
to.
diagram,
Yeah.
make a lot of diagrams. He will look like this. He will talk like
Nice.
this. He will limp like this. He will
Mm.
be educated much, you know. So once I have this entire character fleshing ready
Mm.
with me, it really helps when the story evolves,
Okay. That's a nice
right?
idea.
So character fleshing comes first. Once you're convinced with your plot, second is character fleshing. Flesh your character as much as you can. She has
Mm.
curly hairs or she has
Yeah.
straight hair. She What kind of a body type is, what type of dressing she prefer,
Mm.
what kind of books she reads. Even
Yeah.
that minute
Various
detailing,
things. Yes.
the more detailing you do, it will stay with you. Even
Yes.
though you have put it on a piece of paper, it stays with you. That will help you while you're weaving the dialogues in your
Correct. Yeah.
story, right? So the more character fleshing, the better. So
Definitely.
all this requires crazy creative,
Yeah. Lots of
time and
time.
space.
Yes.
So you cannot just switch on Netflix and do it. You cannot.
Yeah.
Have your 1 hour and have that passion, have
Mm.
that strong desire, burning desire,
Correct.
and the
And then
right
dedicate that
gadgets. If
time.
you're doing it, and do that.
Mm.
And once you think you're not able to do it, please shut it for a month.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Let the desire
Don't
be
force
there,
that.
because Rashi, I have Rashi, trust me, about 14 incomplete projects
Oh, okay.
which I have shut down. You know, because until
Yes.
you have that burning desire,
Yes.
that okay,
You
when you
cannot write
yourself
further.
are impressed, okay.
Mm.
So remember, so there are 4 5 principles. Have a burning desire. Be
Yeah.
very very convinced about your story. Third,
Correct.
be very disciplined. Okay.
Mm.
4, write every day. Uh,
Mm.
Everybody will tell you, but these are very basic principles. But yeah,
Yes.
things like writing at 4 a.m. is very important, because whatever
Yeah.
it is,
And
if we
that
are in
time
a
might change
wild
for
drama,
different people. Everybody might not
yes,
be that creative at
that's what
four
I said.
o'clock in the morning.
So the
Yeah.
most creative
So
time for you,
identify
please,
your creative hour.
and maintain that time.
Yes.
Maintain that time. You just have to pressurize yourself for 1 week. For
Yeah.
the 9th and 10th day, your body will automatically
Yeah. Then it
get up
becomes a
and
habit.
go on the table and chair, and then you
Yeah.
want to write. Even if you end up writing some
Yes.
other part of dialogue or some other
Hmm.
poem which you want to put at the end of some other chapter, but you will be
Yes.
able to do it. Right?
Yes.
So someday something strikes, someday something strikes, and then you can actually put it together. So
Correct.
that is what I say, that if you're starting, one most important
Hmm.
point which I forgot is, please have timelines. If you
Yes.
don't have timelines,
That's
nothing will
important.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you say that today I'm starting writing and by the
Hmm.
end of 6 months this has to be
You're
complete,
busy with other
then
things.
please break down your timeline into weekly goals.
Hmm.
And that is why all these, carnivals
Yeah, these help you.
all these things, because they set a timeline on you,
Correct.
right? And that is very important because otherwise
Hmm.
it won't happen. So the fifth principle is,
Yeah.
please have a timeline which you yourself decide. Let nobody else
Yes.
decide for you. But
Definitely.
be very, very, see, discipline is
Strict
the
with that.
first rule for, when you're self-employed.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can just chill out.
I'm
Right?
sure
So
the
that
writers are
principle
listening to
actually
all
works for
these
me.
tips, and she's sharing all these tips and valuable advice and secrets right from her personal experience. She has done all that, and I'm sure it will be very helpful. So, what are your
It has
future
worked for
plans
me.
now? Like you have already said that you have more stories, like they're incomplete. So, are you coming up with more
Yeah.
books or stories or poems? Like,
Um,
what are you busy with now?
Now, see, Rashi, after 7 books, I'm going to stop.
Oh
So my
no.
future plans are, I'm taking a pause and
Mm,
I'm taking a reflective pause.
mm,
Very deliberately. Because
okay.
year on year I've been writing and doing things and publishing
Yes.
books, but now I've turned 40, so it's also
What is the new
a
beginning?
milestone. Yes, so I'm wanting things to to look at things little differently. For
Okay.
example, I want to go backpacking for like 1 month,
Ah,
and maybe on a mountain somewhere I will write. But
yes.
for a complete month, like 24/7, that's the kind of desire I have. But I need to have a very strong story for that. So those 14 stories which I have are in a box for like another 2 years. I need to write them. So right now my plans are very weird,
Mhm.
and I'm just taking a pause. I just want now that my energies are channelized in the right
Mm,
direction. So I'm
yes.
being very choosy, very selective,
Yeah.
very reflective. So I can take a break for a while. I've done all that I wanted to do.
And taking a
Now the
break
thing
helps,
is,
always helps. I mean, sure you'll come back with
it does.
a very good story
It does.
then.
It does. And that's why I'm telling you, dear, because my one from the time I was a child, I used to think that when people used to ask me, what is your dream? I
Mm,
never said that I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer. I always said that I want to remain, I think I would have spoken to you about it before, that I want to remain alive in the hearts of people after
yeah.
I'm gone. And those are precisely my 7 books. You
Mm,
read any book, any poem, any chapter, you will find Roma in it. That is
yes.
typically, my writing style, my way of weaving emotions. And I
Yeah.
have not, built in any masala or anything to sell it or anything. It's typically me.
Correct.
And I'm very happy and very
Reflects
proud
your
of myself
personality in that.
for that.
Yes.
Right? So I will be alive in those books when I will be
Definitely.
gone. Right? Even if my
And
grandchildren's
that's such a
grandchildren want
beautiful
to read
idea.
it,
Yeah.
a part of me, they can still read. Right?
Yeah.
So now I want to do a real masterpiece, Rashi. After 7, it's going to be a big pause, and then it's going to
Yeah.
be something, a story which actually has to live in the world.
Mm.
So
Okay.
those are the future plans. Very, very
Nice,
sound
nice. Wish
some
you best
strange,
with that.
but thank you, darling. Thank you. So I'm like thinking a lot of on those lines. And
Yeah.
secondly, I had my academy in Pune, then I shifted to Delhi, and it
Hmm.
went online, COVID, and everything. So I want to start up being in Delhi
Yeah.
now,
Sure. You
for
can focus on all those
wherever we
things.
can support women, yeah,
Mm.
as much as we can, because that was very inspiring. That
Yes.
is a reason worth living for.
Correct.
So that is running parallelly. Should be on the ground within 2-3 months.
Hmm. Nice.
So that is one thing which is a mandatory future plan. Till
Yeah.
I'll be alive, I will try to help to the best of my ability, whatever way I
Definitely,
can.
definitely. You should continue with that. So, did you read any books from this year's carnival?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I normally read like 4 books at a time. Now this
Okay.
will again be strange. I can't read one book at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with it.
Oh
So,
God.
like people say, I took this book and I finished it in one go in
Yeah.
24 hours. That doesn't happen
So
with
you
me.
finished 4 books together.
See, I finish like I read 3 to 4 books at a time.
Nice. So which
That
are
is
the
my
books that
way.
you're reading
So it's
now?
like so I am reading a couple of poetry books from Carnival. I'm reading
Mm-hmm.
Suchita's book, which is very intriguing. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And there's one that I told you about, no, the Brain Master. So all these things
Mm-hmm.
I try to read and weave, and because and they are to be entirely different genres, and it's such a fun
Yes.
reading them and mixing them in your brain. But I've read quite a few books from ebook Carnival this time, and every year they go a notch up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. I'm reviewing them, and they're quite good. Some poetry books are, particularly one is, sorry, I'm bad with names. I'm really bad with names.
Yeah.
So, but they are very good. Some books
Yes.
on teen parenting, some on financial planning. A lot
Mm.
of variety this time.
Variety is there. Yes, definitely.
You know.
So would you like to read something from your book?
Okay, sure. So my like I told you, this year my book is all poems. So
Mm.
there was this time when during the second wave of COVID, where all of us were very sad and we were losing our near ones. In particularly in Delhi, it was very difficult for us. Our house was like a helpline, and we were,
Mm.
a kind of arranging oxygen cylinders. So that's the time I wrote this poem. It's a very very long poem, but I'll just
Mm.
read the first part of it.
Yeah,
It was
sure.
quite appreciated in the blog chatter community. But let me just begin. Um, Once upon a time, I loved to smile, but today I've forgotten how to spread it wide. My soul is anxious and cries day and night, and I know of no means by which I can pacify it. What I had seen in the last month and a half has broken my heart into a million parts. Reaching cries and phone calls for help, to arrange for an oxygen cylinder or a hospital bed. The helplessness that kept us awake whole night. Praying was the only resort, we realized. But it didn't help either. Perhaps God helps those who help themselves. We have never been more helpless. Those darkest nights of our lives. No matter how hard we tried, the second wave had no evidence. I lost my best friend. My sister lost her house. So it goes like
Yeah,
this. It's a very long one.
correct.
I finally took it to Hope, but it was a
Mm.
very genuinely written piece. One night I wrote it because, there was
You're
somebody
just
very close
going
to
through all
us.
emotions.
We were
Yeah.
not able to, so my house
It
was
comes out in
totally
the
like a
poetry. Yes,
helpline in Delhi center.
correct.
So there are a lot of raw emotions like this. So if
Yeah,
you have a heart for emotions, this is the book.
sure, sure. We'll get to read all
Because
this
it
in your
is
poetry book.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of emotions like this.
Mm.
I chose
Nice.
this one because most of us could relate because many of us
Yes,
lost,
definitely.
in
We
second
have
wave.
gone through this.
So
Yeah.
this is the book there.
So now I'll ask a question to our audience that Roma has written 7 books till now. So it's very easy. You have to name any one of our books. And we have already like discussed the books in this episode. So if you have paid attention, or you might just go and watch the episode again and write the correct answer in the comments below. So thank you so much, Roma. It was lovely talking to you, and it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Pleasure is equally mine, my dear. So happy to be here. So happy talking to you. Thank you
Yes.
so much for having me.
Thank you.